Welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your satanic host, Dom, and in this episode, we delve into the chilling world of the newly released 2024 horror thriller. Starring Maika Monroe, Blair Underwood, and an unforgettable performance by the Oscar-winning actor, Nicolas Cage. Directed and written by Osgood Perkins, and produced by Neon and Nicolas Cage's Saturn Films, the film unfolds the harrowing tale of an FBI agent on the hunt for an occultist serial killer, a search that unravels personal ties she never expected. Join us as we dissect the dark allure of Longlegs and explore its haunting narrative twists. In a mix between Silence of the Lambs and Zodiac, this is a tense ride the way through, so let's get ready to investigate Longlegs.
Is it scary being a lady FBI agent?
Yeah. Take a nice long look. A letter was left with the bodies. Signed with one word.
I saw a beast rise up out of the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns. And on his horns he wore 10 crowns. On each head was written a blasphemous name.
What aren't you telling me?
He'll kill and kill again.
I know you're not afraid of a little bit of dark. Because you are the dark.
Do you still say your prayers?
Never once. They scared me.
Hello?
You could have made nice with me. But you didn't. And that has led to all of this. I'll be waiting.
In 1970s Oregon, a little girl with a Polaroid camera follows a mysterious voice behind her house, where she is approached by an erratic man with a pale, white face, who mentions that it is almost her birthday. We skip ahead to the 1990s. Newly recruited FBI agent Lee Harker, played by Maika Monroe, displays inexplicable intuition during a case. Though her assigned partner loses his life in the process, through testing, she is theorized to have possible clairvoyance, and as a result, she is assigned to a decade-spanning case of a series of brutal murder-suicides involving families throughout the state of Oregon. In each incident, the father murdered his wife and children before taking his own, and left at each crime scene a letter with cryptic satanic coding that is signed Longlegs. The handwriting belongs to none of the victims, despite no forensic evidence at any home showing there was an invasion or outside parties present inside at that time. Lee swiftly connects similarities between the families. Each had at least one 9-year-old daughter born on the 14th of the month, and the murders all occurred within 6 days before or after the birthday itself. And then when written out in a linear calendar, the dates of the murders form an occult symbol of an inverted triangle, with one date missing to complete the shape. After witnessing a strange figure enter her house, Lee finds a birthday card addressed to her, allowing her to crack Longlegs' cipher. which includes a threat that Lee's mother will be hurt if she reveals the contents of the letter to anybody. Following a clue, Lee and her supervisor, Carter, who is played by Blair Underwood, underneath a doll buried beneath one of the former crime scenes, and inside his head, they find a strange metal orb. Lee sees violent psychic flashes when they interact with it, and the examiner assisting them admits that he thought he heard his ex-wife's name while near the doll. Despite Agent Carter's skepticism, Lee theorizes that each family received a similar doll from Longlegs, and he has been infusing the orbs within each doll with some sort of evil energy that can possess and influence those near it. Lee and Carter visit the institutionalized sole survivor of Longlegs killings, Carrie Ann Camera, played by Kiernan Shipka, and discover Longlegs has already visited her, signing in with Lee's name. Carter grows concerned that Lee is connected to Longlegs. While visiting her mother Ruth, Lee finds a chest in her childhood bedroom containing a stack of Polaroids. Among them is a picture of a pale-faced man, revealing her to be the girl from the introduction. Knowing now that she was visited by Longlegs, who is played by Nicolas Cage, she submits the picture, allowing the FBI to track him down and arrest him. Longlegs expresses his desire to see Lee, and in the interrogation room tells her that he serves the man downstairs. He tells Lee to question her mother's involvement in his crimes, muttering, "Hail, Satan," to himself. Longlegs begins violently slamming his face onto the table, killing himself in front of Lee. Carter angrily confronts Lee about her involvement and insists that the killer has no accomplice, despite Lee believing that the crimes were committed by more than just one person. Lee drives back to her house with fellow FBI agent Browning, who's played by Michelle Choi Lee, to confront her mother about her connection to Longlegs. Whilst Lee is in the house looking for her mother, Ruth, who is played by Alicia Witt, is seen outside and murders Browning with a shotgun. When Lee tells Ruth that Longlegs is dead, she shoots the head off a doll resembling a young Lee, causing Lee to lose consciousness. It is revealed that Ruth has been Longlegs' accomplice ever since Lee's encounter with him. Longlegs returned in the night to attack and subdue Ruth, forcing her to make a choice: let her daughter be murdered as part of the ritual, or to do his bidding to spare her. She complied, leaving Lee to be the missing birthday on the triangle. Longlegs has lived in the Harker house basement ever since, creating dolls he would infuse with his satanic magic. Ruth would pose as a nun delivering a gift from the church to bring the dolls to the families. Lee's doll has been guiding her with the satanic influence of Longlegs since childhood. Awakening in the basement, Lee answers the phone to hear, "You're late for Ruby's party." Realizing Agent Carter's daughter, Ruby, has her 9th birthday that day, and that the Carter's deaths would complete Longlegs' triangle, Lee races to intervene, only to discover that Ruth has already delivered the doll to the family, who are all already possessed. After Carter murders his wife, Lee shoots and kills Carter to protect Ruby. Ruth brandishes a dagger and praises Satan, and Lee's forced to shoot and kill her mother as well. Afterwards, Lee attempts to shoot the doll, but her gun jams multiple times. As the voice of Longlegs begins singing "Happy Birthday," Lee tells Ruby it's time to go. The film cuts back to the interrogation room, where Longlegs looks directly at the camera and repeats, "Hail Satan," before blowing a kiss. Now let's move on to some trivia about the film Longlegs and learn some things about the behind the scenes, the production, and the actors. To start things off, Oz Perkins requests of not using Nicolas Cage on the poster or in the trailer, despite him playing the titular character, led Neon to come up with a creative plan to promote and sell the movie without depending on Cage. And we're going to get into the marketing and the viral marketing. It's going to be in its own little section because I think it's pretty unique. I know that like sometimes a lot of people or a lot of movies and studios will go out of their way to try and do like these unique things to draw everybody in, you know. But I think this time they did a pretty good job at marketing this really well, and I think that's why it got so many people to come in the first day and draw in so many people first day, and that's why and help with the box office. The man downstairs not only references Satan and hell, but Longlegs living in Lee's mother's basement. Longlegs shares similar satanic themes with Oz Perkins' debut film, The Blackcoat's Daughter. The star of that film, Kiernan Shipka, cameos in Longlegs, but as a completely different character. And if you haven't seen The Blackcoat's Daughter, honestly, go see it. You need to see that movie. It's so good. There's a twist in that one as well. And I think if you're watching it for the first time, you're not going to get it. I didn't get it until it was happening, and I was like, "What the? Oh, well, that okay." And then, yeah, like you're not really left wondering if the satanic stuff was real, because it kind of implies that it is happening, and so that's what I'm thinking with this too. But maybe you might interpret it a little bit differently than me. Many of Longlegs' encrypted messages contain misspellings and poor grammar after being decoded. This is an homage to the Zodiac Killer, who was also known for his coded messages containing typos, which often made it more difficult to decode his message. And I love one case that I've always been intrigued by was the Zodiac Killer, because I'm just still like, it's one of those ones where it's like it was probably never going to be solved, even with the advancements in like, you know, the like forensic and, you know, like DNA testing that we have. It may be like in a decade, maybe, you know, with like people submitting to like 23andMe and all that stuff. Right, like that's how they caught the Golden State Killer, and we found out that he was actually a bunch of different killers, not Zodiac though. But Zodiac's always intrigued me because he didn't kill a lot of people, but it's just strange that he went on this like killing spree, leaving these messages and stuff, but then like just stopped all of a sudden, and then you know, like it's just so weird. It's just so intriguing that like this person, and then we know that at least certain murders were attributed to him because there's certain information that he left in like the notes that he would leave that we know that, or like things that he sent like a piece of like the I think it was the cab driver he killed. It's like no one else would have that. And then it's just like, I wish, you know, we had like some kind of, because there's been so many people too that they've been like, this guy was the Zodiac Killer. These people were the Zodiac. Like they thought the Night Stalker might have been. They thought that maybe Manson had been. Maybe, you know, like they said, the Golden State Killer. All these different people, because a lot of those people too, they moved around the state. And so they think that like some murders that happened outside of like the Bay Area, that's where the Zodiac was killing, outside of the Bay Area, might have been, you know, Zodiac as well. But we're not sure. We're not sure if we can even tie those to him. See, that's where it gets tricky too, because there were a lot of people killing too. There was a lot of serial killers from like the 60s, 70s, 80s. that were getting away with it for a long time because it wasn't that people weren't looking and that weren't afraid and weren't locking their doors and trying to keep them away. It's just that this was a time where it was easier to get away with those things. It was a time where like it was so much easier, and even in the early 90s, it was very easy to get away with it. So like look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Like one thing I found out that was a little bit more ridiculous was that like OJ, which was his trial was in like 94, 95. That was like the first time like forensic evidence had been used, like to like test blood and stuff, like in a major crime like that. And it's like, what? Like they literally had to like push to get that to be used. And if you think about that, like that's not that long ago. Like that isn't like very recent history. That's within like that's like 20 years that we've been using this stuff to positively identify certain criminals, or whether or not they leave like any kind of DNA evidence or anything like that. So it's just kind of crazy when you think about it. Oz Perkins thought of only 2 actors to play Longlegs, Nicolas Cage and Brad Pitt. Despite the praise and acclaim of his portrayal as Longlegs, Nicolas Cage has stated that he will be this will be his first and only portrayal of a serial killer for film. In an interview with IndieWire, Cage said, "I know that the phone's going to be ringing off the hook to play serial killers after Longlegs. That's not really what I like to do. I don't like violence. I don't want to play people who are hurting people." And okay, I guess. Right, like honestly, first let's start off with he really wanted Brad Pitt for this. Like you see Longlegs being played by Nicolas Cage or Brad Pitt. Ever since I saw that, I'm like trying to picture Brad Pitt as Longlegs, and I feel like it would just be like, I think it would take you out too much. I know Nicolas Cage as Longlegs kind of is enough to take you out because it is Nicolas Cage, and you can tell it's Nicolas Cage. But I think he gets into that character. He's one of those people that can get into that character enough that, like, it's him, but it's like, but he's still being like, just genuinely creepy in this role, and just genuinely like, he's being this person. Like he's trying to be this person as much as he can. But honestly, if they were to make a sequel, which I don't know if I'd be okay with them making a sequel. I feel like this is a really good one where it's just one and done. Like The Black Coat's Daughter. You don't need to make a sequel. It's good by itself, right? And I think this one would be good by itself as well. But if you were to continue it, which I think I feel like there is a way you could do it, where it's like continuing this investigation. I think really like you don't have to have him come back. Maybe you could have just like his voice or whatever, but because it's like either he's an entity or he's someone possessed by and working for Satan, just like a human, like you could just have his voice come back. I think you don't really need to show him. Like you could do something else that's Longlegs. You know what I mean? Like another person being possessed and taking on the moniker of Longlegs. I don't know, that could be a pretty good idea. Like this kind of like someone's trying to find this like copycat killer of this person who's like going around trying to like doing these weird like causing these like satanic murders and maybe leaving these notes, and maybe it looks like Longlegs, but like it's a little bit different. I don't know. You could do something like that, I guess. And you don't have to bring Nicolas Cage back. While he's referred to almost exclusively as Longlegs in the film, the titular killer's real name is spoken once on screen. Dale Ferdinand Cobble. Though not explicitly stated, Longlegs refers to Dale in his human form, which he literally has long legs, as opposed to the short legs of the dolls he imbues with satanic energy to carry out his murders. And that's kind of like why, like at the beginning he says, "Oh, I seem to have my long legs on," and it's like, honestly though, that's such a like to me. If somebody walked up to me and was talking to me and was like, "Oh, sorry, I seem to have my long legs on today," that would just creep me out. I'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and then they started singing "Happy Birthday" or something or whatever he does. I'm not 100% sure if that's 100% true. If that's where they got, like, where he got the long legs. I like it being a weird, like, mystery of why he's called long legs. If we ever get a real explanation, like, okay, I guess, like, Osgood could give us a solid explanation that, this is what he was thinking, during the filming, or writing and filming of why it's called long legs. I think I'd still stick to just my own kind of headcanon for it. When Lee enters her mother's house near the end of the film, all three hands on the clock over the archway have been set to 6. Another instance of the 666 theme has recurred throughout the film. Notably, Ruth has either done this intentionally or there's some supernatural forces at play, because the ending theme music for The Price is Right is playing on Ruth's television. The Price is Right airs at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, with the scene taking place in Oregon. This place is the time of Lee's entry into the house around right before 9 o'clock in the morning. So that probably shouldn't be the correct time, but I'm thinking it's more of just an Easter egg, and that it's just to play more into that theme of the satanic and like this is towards the end of the satanic panic in real life. So I mean, that's another reason why you could say the FBI is dealing with this, and why they're dealing with the satanic cult. Or I don't know if you consider this a cult. There's just two people, and one of them was forced into it. But whatever, the satanic thing or being or person, whatever they are, Longlegs is, if it is something beyond just the person that is, because Dale's his real name, right? And it's just kind of weird, that it's did he become this from the satanicness, from Satan, or was he placed here? Is he a demon? Is he some kind of other entity? It's just kind of crazy. I like that there's not a lot of information, because he does act very human in certain parts. When he goes to get, I think he needs a filter for the car. But there's just things here and there where it's it's very human, but at the same time there's just things that he does that's very beyond, very supernatural. Alright, so let's get into some of the viral marketing this film had. So Maika Monroe had a startling introduction to Nicolas Cage's transformation into the titular character, that serial killer Longlegs, during filming. She was kept completely unaware of Cage's character portrayal until they filmed their first scene together, which also happened to be Cage's final day on set. Monroe, who wore a microphone capturing her heartbeat throughout the film, started with a resting heart rate of 76 beats per minute. By the end of their first scene, her heartbeat had spiked to 170 beats per minute out of sheer panic. This intense moment was later used in a promotional trailer for the film's release back on July 12th. Reflecting on Cage's method acting approach, Monroe described the experience as insane. As you know, he completely transformed, she remarked in an interview with IndieWire. There's no trace of Nick in there. His voice, his mannerisms, he was very much in character, and it's a very disturbing character, to say the least. Neon, the studio behind the film, adopted guerrilla marketing tactics reminiscent of the successful campaign for the Blair Witch Project. Director Perkins credited Neon for their enthusiastic response to the film's raw materials, from its visuals to its sounds. They asked me early on, do we have your permission to kind of go nuts? And I said, what else are we doing here? Go for it. Do your thing. And I love that. I love that he was like, yes, let's do it. Let's make it as crazy and out there. And like, let's do something different. Let's do something that, you know, we haven't really seen, or if we've seen it, we haven't seen it in a long time. Like, that's crazy to me that, like, there's just a lot of stuff. And I can't wait to get into my final thoughts about this film, because it's just so much. But back in January of this year, 2024, Neon released 3 cryptic teaser trailers over 3 weeks, withholding the film's title using symbolic clues related to the storyline. A full-length teaser trailer eventually confirmed these teasers were for Longlegs. Leading up to the release, Neon also posted 11 videos on YouTube, amassing a total of 30 million views. Further promoting the film, a paid advertisement featuring a cipher akin to the Zodiac Killer's messages were published in the Seattle Times on June 14th. This directed readers to an in-universe website detailing the film's murders. A trailer for Longlegs was also strategically attached to every horror film screened since January. Despite a marketing budget of under $10 million, Neon's focus on digital content and strategic placements ensured widespread visibility for Longlegs. And yeah, it was literally everywhere for the longest time, all over the internet. Like, anytime you come on to like YouTube, anytime you go on to like anywhere like Bloody Disgusting, when I look up things, anytime I'd go on to like just different websites here and there, and like you just see like TikTok would constantly play like these like the little clips and stuff, and I'm glad that like they understood where the audience was going to come from and what it takes to get people to see things nowadays. It's not just going to be, oh, you got to put a trailer up after the big Dodgers game. Nobody's gonna watch that. You got to put it like you got to do it. And they had a $10 million budget, or at least about $10 million, and they used it really well for this film. And because especially when you see, like, I think it grossed the first weekend was like 25 million, so which is not only just doubled, but they almost tripled their investment of just the marketing budget. That's not even the budget of what they made this film for, which I don't even believe they made it for that much. And then it's just like, I remember seeing just like just like they released a bunch of like stills, and it's just like the creepiest stills from the film, and you just get the sense that when they released the name Longlegs, just hammered home that creepy feeling, because you hear something called Longlegs and you're like, what does that mean? But let's move on to our kill counter. Kill counter. Welcome to the kill counter, where we dissect the grim tally of deaths in Longlegs. Let's start at the beginning. Lee and her partner are on the hunt for a fugitive when tragedy strikes. Her partner meets a fatal end at the hands of an unexpected assailant, and that's her first murder, killing, death of the film. Next, in a chilling flashback, the Cameron family's patriarch wields an axe in a gruesome spree, claiming the lives of their local priest and his own wife. The notorious Longlegs meets his own end in a shocking display of self-destruction during an interrogation scene. After requesting Lee to come in and talk to him, explaining things to her, talking about the many victims that he's had, he leaves a haunting imprint on Lee by yelling, "Hail Satan," before slamming his face into the desk in front of him repeatedly over and over again until he's dead. Moving forward, tensions escalate as Leah uncovers her own mother's sinister involvement. A deadly confrontation ensues, resulting in Agent Browning's tragic demise. She gets shot in the back of the head. Later, after a cryptic call leads Lee to a deadly showdown at Agent Carter's house, Lee confronts her mother, Agent Carter, his wife, and their daughter, Ruby. Seeing that Agent Carter and his family have already become possessed, Lee tries to stop Carter from harming his family. He gets angry and leads his wife to the kitchen, killing her. He comes back to try and kill Ruby, but Lee, standing her ground, tells him to stop. He forces her to have to kill him after he does not stop trying to kill Ruby. Ruth reveals a dagger that she's hidden to try and kill Ruby herself. That's when Lee takes it upon herself to stop her mother for the last time, killing her. With a total of 9 deaths, Longlegs leaves a brutal mark, each demise etched with chilling intensity. And now we come to the part of the podcast where I give my final thoughts on the film. So, as I've been saying, with the marketing, and I see the things that were popping up here and there. I just remember just seeing these stills that it's just like what is this film, right? What is it? And then when we got little things here and there, I didn't even know Nicolas Cage was in this film until I think maybe a week or two before the movie came out. Because honestly, like I said, with the viral marketing, they tried to avoid showing him as much as they can, because even in the film they try to avoid, because I feel like the less you see of him, the more in your mind you kind of build up this image of him, and it just lasts longer when you see him for those split seconds, because you do see him talking straight to the camera, especially at the end when he's singing happy birthday or whatever and blowing kisses and stuff. But honestly, this movie was amazing. I don't know how else to say it. This movie was just so good. Blackcoat's Daughter was amazing. I think this one he knocked it out of the park. I know this is a very divisive film. I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like it. I don't understand really what they don't like about it, what they're not getting from it. For me, it's just such a unique idea. I did a spoiler-free review on TikTok as soon as the movie came out, right after, and someone commented "Oh, I guessed it," during the movie. It's yeah, movies are built for you to guess them at a certain point. But you're telling me you went in and you were oh, I knew it was about Satan, and I knew it was about dolls, and I knew it was all this, and that he was working for the devil this whole time, and blah blah blah. No, you didn't know that. Nobody knew that. That was the point, is that they were building up to this, and you had to go see the film to understand what it was. And just from right off the bat, that opening scene is amazing. It's still in my head. I'm still amazed by it. It's just so the cinematography is just amazing. The score is tense, and it gets you just pulled in. The acting is great. Like I said, yeah, Nicolas Cage just does such a great job. I mean, I know he had a rough patch where he was just taking a bunch of jobs, and I know a lot of people have this kind of idea of he's such a bad actor, and they'll watch Nicolas Cage movies just because he's such a bad actor. But he won an Academy Award for Leaving Las Vegas, and he's been a pretty consistent character actor for a while. And then more recently, since the Color Outside of Space, I think he's been doing a pretty good job, with being consistently in some pretty good roles. He played himself pretty good in the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and then in Renfield he played Dracula, and I think he did a pretty good job there too. Maika Monroe, she's always good since It Follows, which I can't believe was 10 years ago already Like, that's how ridiculous that movie came out that long ago. But she's gonna be in They Follows. I know, getting outside of that, but she does a great job in here. I love her. She's really great. I think, Blair Underwood does a great job. All the supporting cast, the mom. I forgot the actress's name, but Alicia Witt. She does a great job too. Just the imagery from the film is going to stick in my mind from now on. And then just everything about this film is so good. Like, I can't believe Osgood Perkins, which I barely found out too. Like, he's Anthony Perkins' son. Like, that he could craft such a great, unique story, and that's what I came out of this. I was like, you know what? I love that it's such a genuinely different story than what we've had in the past. I'm not saying all good movies that we've seen so far are just the same thing over and over again, or cookie cutter or anything like that, but it's just we've been getting a lot of sequels. At least we were getting a lot of, and a lot of reboots, a lot of requels, a lot of things like that. We were getting a lot of things that were just kind of retellings of things that were just taking from material that we've already seen before. It's giving us things that I think that we've gotten before. And I love once we get something like this, where it's just so unique, so just out there, something so different from what we've seen before. Something that can genuinely surprise, something that can genuinely stay with you, and, it's memorable, and something that you're going to remember or think of, or, that's, here and there, I just think of, in my mind, Nicolas Cage's, face, and I'm just, creeped out. And just goes to the power of the way the prosthetics was crafted and made, in the special effects department and art department, and just everything about it. Like I said, from the beginning of the film, the opening to the ending, and I love there's little things here and there. You see this dark figure with horns come up every once in a while, and you see him in the mirror or the glass or here and there. The fact that it opens and it's instead of being 16 by 9, I think it's 4 by 3, the frame, and then it expands as we get into the actual film, and we move in after the opening scene in the 70s with Longlegs meeting Lee when she's a little girl, and then just I love that the credits are in reverse. I love that too. It goes up instead of down. Normal credits, usually they'll scroll down so you can, reverse, sorry. They normally scroll up so you can you'll sit there and you can read them. This scrolls down, inverted, because it's the inverted triangle with the satanic imagery. And I just, just everything about it. I love that it incorporates so many things. It's supernatural. It's also like I said, it's leaving you to guess and wonder who is Longlegs? Who is this guy? Is he an actual human? Is he an actual person? Is he a being? Is he an entity? Was he a demon? But there, I said, there's things that he does that is just so mundane and human, and he has to live in a place. He lives with the mom in the basement, and it's just what is he? Is it it's obviously he's using some kind of satanic powers too to craft the dolls and everything. It's just man, I'm just it's just this. This is what I love about movies. This is what I love about certain films. And I'm gonna call back to with his earlier film, Blackcoat's Daughter. If honestly you haven't seen that film, you need to go see it, because you'll immediately get it's if you're watching Hereditary and you watch Meet the Johnsons, right? You're immediately gonna be yes, I can see where these ideas and these concepts, these themes, these tones are coming from, and how he's incorporating them. And it's just I just can't wait to see what we get from Oz Perkins in the future. And like I said, honestly, if Nicolas Cage doesn't come back, it might be a little disappointing. I would like to maybe see him in that role again. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna last long and be in our role in our heads and in the zeitgeist. I think for a while, since this or from when this film comes out. I mean, it already came out, but like we're gonna remember Longlegs for a while, and I think the people who aren't so like stoked on it, it's gonna be like, I mean, I feel like it's like any other, like the Babadook. I feel like a lot of people didn't really like that either, but he's lasted a very long time, the Babadook. And I kind of feel like the same way with Longlegs, like that it's going to be something that you're gonna feel not repercussions, but you're gonna feel it in other things down the line. People are gonna be influenced by this, and which honestly I'm glad. I love when people take these stories and these different ideas, and then they start cobbling things together. That's how ideas work. That's how stories work. That's how, and people who say, oh well, you're not supposed to do that with film. You're just supposed to make up your own unique idea. Everything's not original. There's no original ideas anymore. Everything's just a copy of a copy of a copy, because over time there's only so many limited stories you can tell, and this is just one unique way to tell that story. And I honestly loved it so much. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 stars. You're hearing it first here. I can't wait till this comes out so I can get it on physical media, get all the behind the scenes, get all like the, like anything that it comes with. Oh God, this movie is just so good. I just highly recommend it. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, honestly, stop listening. I don't know why you got to this point, why you listen to any of it. Go watch it right now. Or if you have seen it, go watch it again. Go watch it as many times as you can. I want this movie to do really well. I know it already kind of did pretty well, but I want it to do even better, because the people who made this, they deserve all the credit. They deserve all the accolades. They deserve everything that they can. And honestly, I'm gonna say it right here, right now, I think Nicolas Cage deserves Best Supporting Actor for this role. Like, I think he deserves a nod for this role, because I think he did such a standout performance in this. It reminds me of Anton Chigurh, right, from No Country for Old Men. Like, Javier Bardem made that role so chilling and so ruthless, and I think Nicolas Cage stands out, and he made this role his best, one of his best, I think. Just everything about this film, I just can't stop gushing about it. And I've been talking to people, I talk to people at work about it, and some people don't even want to go see it, but like the people who have seen it, some of them don't like it, and it's just like, why? Oh my God, I don't get it. I don't get why, what you didn't like about this, what made you sit there and be like, oh, it was kind of boring, ridiculous. God, this movie, I could just gush about it all day. It's gonna be considered one of my favorite horror films of all time. I loved it. I thought it was that good. Because I'm not gonna say it's up there with the classics, but I mean, honestly, this feels like a move in the right direction in horror, that it's up there with It Follows, or more recent, Hereditary or Midsummer, or The Witch or something like that. I feel like it feels more in line with those than the older horror films like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Friday the 13th. Those are going to stay classics. But I think this is going to be a modern classic, with along the lines like The Babadook, where you look back and you're like, oh yeah, that's a great, it's such a great film. Just such a great film. I could just, like I said, I could go on and on. It's so good The deaths in it are amazing. Not the death is amazing, but just that like the kills in it are just so like brutal. They're just like so like it's like the brutality of it just makes it even more. And then God, there's just so much to it. The callbacks to Silence of the Lambs, that makes you get that feel. Like a modern Silence of the Lambs, like the incorporating things like the Zodiac from like real life, the Zodiac killer, and even if you were to compare it to like Zodiac the film, like it has that kind of tenseness, and it's just like that's what you love. That's what you want to see in a film, right? You want that tense. What's gonna happen? Like how is she gonna get out of it? Is she gonna even survive? So great! It's such a great film. Amazing job all around. But other than that, is your birthday on the 14th? Would you want a life-size doll of yourself as a present for your birthday? Are you wearing your long legs? I know I've got mine on. Look right here. See? We want to thank you all for listening, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any personal or fictional, paranormal, supernatural, or unexplainable stories? We love to read them on the podcast. Please send your stories, recommendations, or anything else to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to show more support, you can follow our socials on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. We're even on Discord now at Horrorbox Podcast. Also, you can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It really helps out. We'll see you next time and hear what comes out from the horror box.
Will you tell me the honest truth about something?
I'll try.
Do you still say your prayers?
No, Mom. I never said my prayers, never once. They scared me.